If Jonty Warburton gets your vote, please dial 0845 973 88401 in the middle for Jonty, 9964 7581 7171. Please ask for permission from whoever pays the phone bill. All calls will be charged but may not be counted. Thank you and good luck. Well, it is wonderful to be here in the heart of Britain.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Joined with Jhazoos in your beautiful compound and your magnificent garden. How does it feel? Nominee for Britain of the Year. Please
Well,
tell
it's
me.
always a pleasure, really, isn't it, to be nominated for something, for some prestigious award of sorts. But then it's also quite embarrassing because I was the one who nominated myself, so that's I can't really claim all the credit for the nominations. But no, it generally feels pretty good.
I bet it does.
Good.
You were jumping with joy, I'm sure, when you first.
When I got the
found out.
phone call, you couldn't stop me.
Well, that's the pleasant part of our conversation. Now let's get onto your personal life, so the viewers can find out a bit more about you. Your life hasn't been easy. It has been hurdle after hurdle.
After hurdle, if you ask me.
So,
Well, I'll expand on that. Basically, so as everybody who's watching this knows, I was actually born into a very tough family. Both my parents were heavily addicted, and my mother was actually using whilst I was in the womb. This led to me being born with a fairly significant level of Christianity addiction.
but please elaborate. How did it start to be
Well, it
brought
started.
up with such abuse?
You're right, it is a form of abuse,
Yeah.
forcing this on children, and particularly using with the children in the womb, something I'll come on to later on. But with me, you've got to hit rock bottom before you can start to come back up again. And for me, that moment happened. I realised I'd hit rock bottom. I was attending my 15th tea and cake sale that week. Now let me tell you how many tea and cake sales I was going to. 15 was the tip of the iceberg. 15 was a good week. Some instances, 15 was a good day. I used to go from tea room to tea room to tea room. I'd drink gallons of tea, pissing myself with tea, just tea and cake, tea and cake, and cake and cake and tea. That's all I would live on. Sold everything I had. I used to eat bits of my house to buy Bibles, tea and cake. That's all I could afford.
Well, let me stop you there, because this leads me on very nicely to my next question. Your book has changed lives around the world. It's been a #1 bestseller in the UK and US for over a year. It is outselling the Bible tenfold. It's been translated into 51, recently 53 with Klingon and Congolese just added. I mean, this is really going orbital, this book. You, as a man of 25, published this book, changing lives. Tell me about it.
My book is basically, it talks you through how you can turn it around, and how drugs, whereas God doesn't have any substance to him, drugs have got a lot of substance to it. And you can, step-by-step guide, use that step-by-step guide to just push yourself away from religion through the use of drugs. Some of the things I recommend in the book are things like buttercopples. Are you familiar with buttercopples?
I'm not.
They're a Peruvian club drug, and they're administered via the Jap's eye.
Well, I have got a problem with that one, because isn't that you get check neck with that?
You do. Well, check neck is one of the unfortunate side effects of
Isn't that where your neck retains so much water? it actually creeps up your mouth and you drown.
You drown in your own
neck.
Yes, I've had a couple of people, I've seen that happen before. Some people are quite scared of check neck, and so they don't want to take the butter cobbles. So what I recommend is Cringe. I told you about Cringe, didn't I? Cringe is the club drug that makes you it's a very, very good high, but it does cause involuntary facial spasms.
Can you show us what they're a bit like?
Well, for me, I mean, I've seen myself on tape when I'm on Cringe. You can't remember the thing that happens to you.
Yeah.
But I've seen on tape, and it's a bit of a. So that's why they call it Cringe.
If a Christian was to knock on your door, what would he, a heavily addicted user of Christianity, expect from you and your...
First thing he could expect to do is the part was £3,000, which I think is a fair price to pay for for the same price as a university degree. You could be clear of all this God bollocks, And then what I do is I'll put them on what I like to call the Godometer, where I assess their level of addiction. And I've got a copy of it here. The actual Godometer is 30 foot high and made out of neon, but you won't get that in the shop. So when I started, I was at the top here, and I was disappearing at my own arse. And further down we've got people who can recite the Bible in full. I'll definitely start them off on butter cobbles.
Yeah.
And Dawkins down at the bottom is where they're familiar with Dawkins and they don't like it. They don't like the idea that God's a delusion. So we get them onto that. But generally, a plethora of Class A drugs will wean any fucker off religion.
Some people have actually compared you, I don't know if you know about this, some people have actually compared you to Jesus Christ.
Oh, not this again.
Yes, yeah. They say you don't just look like Jesus Christ.
Well,
but
I think I look like him at all, to be honest.
In actual fact, you have the same initials as well. Jhazoos Crisp. Jesus Christ. So
well, people have said I look like Jesus. I mean, personally, Tom, I just don't see the resemblance myself.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you here, Jhazoos, in your beautiful compound in the outskirts of Birmingham. And all the best with the rest of your campaign and hopefully becoming Briton of the Year. Thank you, Jhazoos.